All right, today we're talking about simplifying and evaluating algebraic expressions. This is stuff we've done before. It should sound somewhat familiar. So, first of all, we're talking about like terms, okay? And for things to be like terms, they must have the same variable and the same exponent. Same variable and the same exponent. It's very important that they have both of those things. So a couple of examples of things that would be alike or would be like terms: x squared and x squared. That's good. That's alike. Okay? X y to the third and x y to the third. That's good also. Okay? A couple of examples of things that would not be alike would be x to the fourth and x to the fifth. Not alike. That's no good. Okay? Or x squared y to the third and then x to the third y squared. Not alike. It's got to be the exact same variable, exact same exponent. Okay, you guys know that already, though. We've talked about this in the past. So, let's talk just first about combining like terms. Combining like terms. Same thing as simplifying, really. It's the same basic thing. So, first expression here, we've got 3x plus 4w minus 7x plus 6w. All right, first thing I want to point out here is that, remember, we want to think of each of these as being totally separate terms. So think of it as we've got positive 3x, we've got positive 4w, we've got negative 7x because it's minus 7x, and we've got positive 6w. Okay, so four different terms. We want to combine only the ones that are alike. So starting with 3x, the only other term up here that is like terms with that is 7x. So 3x and negative 7x combine to make negative 4x. Okay? All right, well, we use those terms. Now, 4w, the only thing that's like with that is the 6w. Positive 4w and positive 6w is positive, so we put a plus sign, 10w. And that would be, that's the whole solution there. That's as far as we can simplify it. Negative 4x plus 10w. All right? If we look at the second example down here, slightly more complicated. We've got 7x squared plus 15x minus 3x to the third plus 4x minus 10x squared minus 13x to the third. Again, we're just picking out all the things that are alike. So 7x squared, that's alike only to negative 10x squared. Again, I say negative because it's minus. Okay? It's kind of the same for our purposes here. So 7x squared combined with negative 10x squared is going to be negative 3x squared. Okay, we're just adding those together. 7 plus negative 10 is negative 3. All right, we use those. That's done. Next we have 15x. The only other thing that's alike with positive 15x would be this positive 4x right here. So adding together 15 plus 4, we've got positive, so plus 19x. And the last one, we've got negative 3x to the third and negative 13x to the third. Well, negative 3 plus negative 13 is negative, so minus 16x to the third. We're going to add a room a little bit there, but negative 3x squared plus 19x minus 16x to the third. That's our final solution there. Okay? You might come across some that require you to do some multiplying first. Check out this example. We've got x squared plus 3xy minus 2y times the quantity of 4x plus 6. Okay, this one is going to require us to multiply first. We've got to multiply this situation, and to do that we've got to use the distributive property. So keep in mind that this term is negative 2y because of that minus sign. So we've got to distribute that negative 2y to both of the things on the inside. These two terms are going to stay the same, so let me just write them down below. X squared plus 3xy. Okay? Now let's distribute. Negative 2y times 4x is going to be, first of all, look, this is a negative times a positive, so the answer is going to be negative 8xy. Okay? And now we've got to distribute it to the second number. We've got negative 2y times positive 6. That will give us negative 12y. So this is what we have now. We're just going to combine like terms, and the only two terms we have up here that are alike are going to be this positive 3xy and negative 8xy. So bring x squared down first, x squared, and then after we combine these, we've got positive 3 plus negative 8. That's negative 5xy. And finally bring the minus 12y down, and there is our final answer after we've combined those terms. Okay. So that's combining like terms. Again, sometimes you have to multiply first, but you only combine the terms that are alike. We cannot combine anything else. One last thing today, and that is evaluating these algebraic expressions. And this will give you a situation like this. These are two different problems. Let's start with the one on the left here. We've got 8x minus 10y plus 2z. But it tells you that x equals 3, y equals negative 4, and z equals 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and substitute those numbers in for the variables. So instead of 8 times x, we're going to have 8 times 3. We sub that 3 in place of x because we know that 3 equals x. Okay? Minus 10 times y. Y is negative 4. So we're subbing that in, and then plus 2 times z is 6. So there we go. We've subbed in all of our numbers. Now we just need to solve it. 8 times 3 is 24. Minus 10 times negative 4 is negative 40. And 2 times 6 is 12. Okay? Since we're subtracting a negative here, remember, subtracting, you have to add the opposite. So that's the same as adding. 24 plus 40 is 64. And then we have plus 12. And finally, 64 plus 12 is going to be 76. So 76 will be our final answer in that particular problem. All right? As one final example here, sometimes I might ask you to use exponents, and I try to pick a particularly maybe slightly difficult example so that we have a decimal being taken to an exponent, just to see what happens when we do that. So we've got 6x squared minus 3y. Well, x we see is 2.5, so let's go ahead and write it. We've got 6 times 2.5 squared minus 3 times 7. Okay? Well, keep in mind, squaring numbers, all that does is we take a number times itself. So 2.5 times 2.5 is our next step. That's what we need to figure out here. All right? Take care of this real quick. Two numbers behind the decimal. We need two numbers behind the decimal on the bottom, and we see that 6.25 is what we get after we square 2.5. Okay, so let me erase this to give myself some room, but 6.25 is what we got. So now we have 6 times 6.25, which is what we got after we squared this, minus 3 times 7. Okay, so we're going to have to multiply one more time here. 6.25 times this 6. We'll see what we get. That's 30, 15, 37. 2 behind the decimal, we need 2 behind the decimal, so we get 37.50. Okay, again, I'm going to erase that to give myself room, but 37.50 is what we got. So, whoops. So 37.50 minus 3 times 7 is, of course, 21. So our final step is we've got to subtract these. I'm just going to go ahead and write it down here. 37.50 minus 21. Notice that I put the 21 here. Why? Because when we're subtracting decimals, we've got to line up the decimals. Okay, 0 minus 0 is 0. There's 5. Drop that decimal down. 7 minus 1 is 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. Final answer, 16.50, or just 16.5 if you prefer. Okay, so we can do those problems even if there are decimals taken to exponents. No challenge is too great for you all. You're so smart. That's the video for today. Don't forget to answer the question in the description, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.